Hey everyone, I wanted to share my personal story on how I got into software development. And if you're considering hopping into the industry or, you're thinking that this could be a possible career path for you, maybe there's a couple things that you can take away from this video and apply to your life and apply to your journey. So it all started a long time ago when I was a founder at a startup and we had a great run for a long time. It paid the bills for a while. But it ended up dying when we lost our biggest customer, and they were by far, the vast majority of our revenue. So eventually that day arrived. Unfortunately, that was tough. I was able to get over it. And at this time, I was living overseas and I wanted to continue doing so. And so I started teaching language. I was teaching English and I was also teaching Spanish. But in particular, I was teaching English to students in China, and that was an absolutely incredible experience. Something that I hold very special to my heart. But it was really, really difficult with the hours. Beijing time is plus 13 hours, and that was very, very difficult. I was so tired all the time. It's really hard to kind of live that nocturnal lifestyle for a long period of time. And I did it for years. So that was really, really challenging. I would tell people that like even my bones were tired, if that makes any sense. And so I was working a lot of hours, and it all kind of started when I went home for Christmas. And at this time, I was working 10:30 p.m. all the way to 8 a.m. And I would wake up at 9:30 and I would just walk around my parents' neighborhood to try to wake myself up, trying to get that blood flow going because I was so tired all the time. I was kind of like missing out on all the Christmas activities and I was really kind of just trying to survive. And I remember just walking around my parents' neighborhood and I remember just thinking, this is no way to live. There's no way I'm going to be able to have a family with this type of schedule. This is just not a sustainable activity. It's just not a job that can last. And so I started kind of thinking of some, possibilities and things that I could do. Prior to this moment, I graduated from a boot camp and, I was not ready. I was not employable when I graduated. And it was still the best money I've ever spent. It was only $2,000. It was in Bogota, Colombia. And it was $2,000. It was 10 weeks. And honestly, it was amazing. I met some really good friends, lifelong friends, kind of built up, some of my network, but I just was not ready at all at that point. And so, part of the year goes by and now here we are at Christmas. And so, I just remember walking around, my parents' neighborhood thinking, I got to do something different. This is just clearly not working. And there's no future in this for me personally. And so, I was kind of going through my week and, there's something that's really special for me every Christmas. I love Christmas. I'm like completely built for Christmas. I was born for Christmas and I love watching movies with my parents. And there's one movie in particular that I absolutely love to watch. I love watching The Grinch, the Jim Carrey version. I love all the versions, but the Jim Carrey version is super special to me. It's a chance for me to relive my childhood, and I think it just has a really positive message in general. And I just absolutely love that video. I always think through the year about watching that video with my family at Christmas. And because of my schedule, I unfortunately fell asleep like 20 minutes or something like that into the movie. And I remember just like waking up, my parents were gone, the movie was over, TV was off, and I just kind of like soaked in that moment. And that was a really like low point for me. And I know that's kind of, maybe kind of like a strange example of a low point. I'm sure other people have had, like more impactful kind of like low points in their life. But, I missed out on something that I absolutely love and I think about all the time throughout the year. And I just knew that I needed to make a change. And so I recognized that, it just wasn't really possible for me to learn this on my own. And, in retrospect, looking back, a lot of that is due to the rabbit holes. If you're like you're learning JavaScript, there's so many directions you can go in. There's a lot of distractions. But fortunately, I was able to find Launch School, and that is a school that is assessment driven. You need a 90 or above to pass these assessments. I believe there's 14 assessments at this point. And, you start from first principles, you don't learn any higher level of abstractions. You start with the absolute core so you have no holes in your game, if you know what I mean. And being a boot camp graduate, I had so many holes. Really, the boot camp just focused on frameworks, and I didn't understand kind of the underlying principles of programming. So, Launch School completely changed my life. Obviously, for the better. I met so many good friends that I think I'm going to have for the rest of my life. I'm so fortunate. And you know what's really cool about Launch School is that it teaches you things about programming and about life that you just don't get anywhere else, in, American society. So you learn attention to detail, you learn procedural mindset, and you learn all of these kind of qualities and attributes that a lot of people attribute to, math people, if you know what I mean. I'm sure you've heard that, people that are good at math are good at programming. And I think that's true, absolutely. But unless you're working on an application that directly involves math, it's not that being good at math helps you program. It's that people that are good at math have procedural mindset, attention to detail, and they have kind of these surrounding peripheral qualities that really translates over to software development. Now, I didn't possess these qualities naturally or through my experience growing up, but I just want to encourage you that you can learn these qualities, and Launch School is a great place to do that. So I hope you got something out of this video. If you did, let me know, and I hope to see you around.